Hello and welcome to the second part of this video series introducing OGT's CytoSure Interpret Software. In this video tutorial, we'll be looking at some of the basic features of the software, loading array aCGH data into the software, reviewing the analysis, and saving and reporting the results. The starting point for this demo will be a previously generated .cgh batch process file, which is the unique file format created by the software during the processing of feature extracted text files as described in part 1 of the video series. The first thing to do is launch the software and enter the user login details. Multiple user accounts can be created within an organization where the administrator can control the access and functionality available to each of the users. Next, we are going to load a case into the software using the accelerated workflow mode, which is set at the top of the graphic user interface and features a series of clickable chevrons that guide the user through the analysis process. Click on the load button and point the software to the location of the .cgh file to be viewed. Click on continue to load the process data into the software. As sample information for this case has been previously assigned and is saved in the .cgh file, the accelerated workflow mode has moved on to the classify step. Now that we have opened a process sample in the software, let's take a more detailed look around the user interface. On the left-hand side, there is the chromosome selection panel, which allows the user to jump to a specific chromosome by clicking on the relevant number. There is also a whole genome view button at the bottom of this panel, which sets out all the data in chromosome order to give a general overview of the data. When an individual chromosome is selected, the ideogram is displayed at the top of the screen, and you can click on the banding patterns in the ideogram to zoom in directly to that region. Just below the ideogram is a plot of the data in the Chromosome Overview panel. You can click and drag in this panel to navigate to specific regions, and the region is highlighted by the hatched rectangle, and a zoomed in view of this region is shown in the chromosome section view in the main part of the screen. Again, you can click and drag in this view to navigate to specific regions. In the main chromosome section view, the individual probes are displayed, and hovering the cursor over a probe will show probe-specific information. Also displayed is the zero mean log2 ratio line and the threshold lines for duplications. By default, these are set at plus 0.3 for a gain and minus 0.6 for a deletion. The threshold criteria and other parameters for detecting aberrations are fully customizable by the user in the Aberration Detection tab. At the bottom of this screen are the Annotation Tracks, which are used as an aid to interpretation of the data. Information in these tracks is obtained from various publicly available online databases, such as ClinGen, Decipher, the Database of Genomic Variants, and the Cancer Gene Census. In addition to these online database resources, the LOH and Aberration tracks show LOH regions and CMVs identified in all previously analysed cases that have been submitted to the database, and so provides an internal record of samples processed by the user. The annotation tracks can be expanded by clicking on the small square icon above the identifying letter to show multiple annotations stacked on top of each other. The tracks also have a second display option, which is a frequency plot view. This can be switched on by a left mouse click in the white space of the track and will show data where the height indicates the frequency of occurrence of an aberration. Hovering over an annotation track will bring up a display of additional annotation details for that particular region. and a left mouse click on the track itself will activate the link out to view the region in the relevant online database for that track. For example, left clicking on the gene track will open the relevant gene summary page in Ensemble. In addition to the default online database link, if you right click on a track, it brings up the option to view the region in other selected online resources. The options on the menu vary depending on the track being viewed. Sample information is shown in the top right hand side panel, and the information that is displayed here can be customized by the user by clicking on the Customize button, selecting the required information and moving it into the included column. QC metric data is also displayed in this panel, with the values being color coded as green for excellent, yellow for good and red for poor. Users also have the option to customize which metrics are displayed by going to the QC Metrics tab in the Tools Options and then selecting the metric from the Display column. More information on the QC metrics and what they mean can be found in the user guide and also on the OGT website. In the bottom right hand side panel is the Aberrations table. This will contain all the CMVs and LOH regions that have been detected by the software when the processing of a case has been run. The columns displayed in this table can be repositioned by clicking and dragging to the new location, and right-clicking on any of the table headers will bring up a list of other information that can be shown in this table, such as start-stop sites, number of probes in the CMV, and the classifications. A blue tick to the left of the text indicates that the field will be displayed. Choose which fields to display by clicking on the row in the menu to select or deselect it. Rows in the table can be sorted by left-clicking on the header. Click once to order in one direction and twice to order in the opposite direction. A small arrow should appear in the header box indicating the direction of sorting. Reviewing the detected CMV in a case can be done easily by left-clicking the CMV row in the table. The display will jump to that specific region of the chromosome in the chromosome section view. Detected CMVs are displayed as shaded regions. To assign a classification to a region once it has been investigated, you can right-click on the shaded area or right-click the row in the aberration table. This brings up a submenu which gives the user the option to assign an initial classification or final classification, thus providing the means for different researchers to collaborate on the classification process. The software contains a basic set of classifiers such as benign, pathogenic or ignore, and it also allows the user to create their own classifier, which is done via Tools, Options and Classification. Each classification is assigned a color that will be used throughout the software. The software can also be configured to auto-classify regions based upon the classifiers that are available. A set of advanced template classifiers are provided with the software, which can be used as a basis for creation of lab-specific classifier sets, for example, benign criteria. This would apply a benign classification to a CMV if it is completely covered by benign CMVs in the ClinGen track, does not overlap with any similar pathogenic CMVs from the ClinGen track, and it does not overlap with any of the contents of the syndrome track. Classification can also be done by clicking on the Classify button in the Accelerate Workflow mode, which will take you to the CMV SNP tab. This view provides an expanded aberration table with the same functionality as the one in the Genomic View window, and it also shows an aberration details window on the left hand side. Changes to a case can be saved at any point during the review stage by clicking on the flag icon at the end of the Accelerate workflow. This will give the user the option to remove the dataset and, if required, save any changes. The user can resume analysis of a dataset from the same position within the workflow mode by selecting Load from the Accelerate Workflow bar and then selecting the batch process files and opening the relevant .aCGH file. It is important to note that if the user chooses this option to save a case, then it is not being submitted to the CytoSure database at this time, and any changes are being saved only in the CGH file. You can submit a case to the database by clicking on the File Save icon on the Sample tab, or by clicking on the Report button in the Accelerate workflow. Clicking the Report button will do three things. It will save the .aCGH file, and it will submit to the database. It will also generate a report based on the settings in the software. The reports can be fully customized by the user via the Report Generation tab in the Options box. That's all for this video, but please check out our website for further resources and support, or email support@ogt.com.